Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Fandom Flux episode 191? 191. Yeah. Hi, I'm Casey. How's it going? This is friendly Casey, because that's how Casey has to talk when he kind of has to slow everything down a little bit because of the echo that can be really distracting if he tries to talk quickly. So he's just gonna bring it down a couple levels. Is that okay with you guys? Yeah.
Why are you sex jazz Casey on the mic right now?
Because that's what happens when Casey has to talk slower. Yeah.
Isn't that my shtick?
Yeah, you're stealing his gimmick.
Well,
See,
nothing wrong with more people getting in on it, of course.
See, Patient. I don't think Patient is seductive intentionally. He just has that natural charisma, whereas I'm trying. There's the difference.
And you can tell the difference.
Oh yeah. So yeah, I'm here. Weasel's here.
Hi.
Patient's here.
Hi, I'm not Kenshi618, but I think my voice is even better than his, if nothing else.
That's a fucking cool.
Them's fighting words.
Kenshi's here.
Hi, I'm Kenshi618, victim of gimmick infringement on this podcast since 2013.
I don't know if anyone did that in 2013.
Oh, you guys taunted me constantly by stealing my shticks,
I think that might have been
and
Zero.
it's evolved.
Hmm.
It was probably Zero.
Probably, yeah.
Sometimes you guys chimed in and stole, which is cool. It's
I-
cool.
I don't think
I
I
mean-
ever had one myself. I think I just gave you shit when yours was kind of rubbish. Like, when you got the Dayman lyrics wrong and things like that. Yeah.
You should have been happy I brought up the Dayman lyrics in the first place.
I don't give a shit about Sunny.
What?
I've literally never watched an episode. The only reason I know those quotes is because Achievement Hunter quote it all the time.
It makes me sad. You made me sad. You don't get to talk shit then.
I tried watching the show, I just didn't like it.
You talk about Always Sunny in
And
Philadelphia?
why did you not
Yeah.
like the show?
I don't know, it just didn't appeal to me.
Because it's full of awful people.
It kind of reminded me of Seinfeld in a way. I didn't like that either.
See, I never liked Seinfeld either, even though the rest of my family loved it. More proof I was a black sheep. What got me about Seinfeld was that every single plot was completely avoidable if they just had good communication skills.
So, I don't know. Not a fan. I guess I should probably link Sunny for that.
That's disappointing. Whatever.
So, what have people been doing this week?
I can go first, I guess, because I don't
Okay.
have much. I'll be quick.
Sure.
So, I hate running outside. Like, a lot. Like, a whole bunch. Like, you don't understand how much I hate outside for any point or reason whatsoever.
I think I might understand, Kenchi.
Do you? Because yours is out of necessity. Mine is just out of general dislike.
I generally dislike it as well as necessarily hate it.
Yeah. Well, I solved my ultimate problem, which was running, because two things I hate the most are running and running outside. But I solved that with a super cheap treadmill that I bought off of somebody.
Oh,
Awesome.
cool beans.
Yeah. So
We
now instead
match,
of wasting
except I
an
don't
hour-
use mine.
Yeah, so now instead of wasting an hour outside running in places I hate, I waste an hour in my basement. Running. It's
Makes sense
great.
to me.
It's also easier on my knees. Because running on asphalt kills my knees. So yeah, prolonging the cartilage in my knees is also a plus.
Suggestions.
So far,
get a TV in the basement, like a small one that you can just put up in front of the treadmill and just have that there.
yeah, I will do that when I get money. For now, I just have my
Alternatively, phone, headphones, podcast.
I do have headphones and stuff. I also have my phone, which has things like Netflix and other assorted things that I can watch stuff on to occupy my time for an hour while I'm on the freaking treadmill. So I don't think about how much I hate running. It doesn't work often, but it helps pass the time.
Wow, you
That's
really
about it.
hate running.
I really do hate running. It's a deep-seated hatred. It goes back many years, back to when I was a kid and couldn't jog for like a quarter of a mile without nearly dying from asthma.
Yeah.
Ouch.
And even-
Sorry about
yeah.
that.
It's cool. I got over it a long time ago, but that hatred of running never went away. By the time I got to high school, it wasn't a problem anymore, mostly.
I didn't get over it. I fell in a hole. It had thorns in it.
Ouch. I'm
So-
sorry.
It wasn't a good time.
I've never really gotten into running myself. I mean, there was a class in my high school where all it was fitness, and most of it was just walking or running around the school's track. And for me, it was just I walked the whole thing, and I still am pretty fast at walking. So I managed to get the marathon shirt by the end of the year, which happens if you walk 26 miles within the semester. So that was. But running, I never had the stamina for that too much. So.
Yeah, my parents like walk like 8 miles a freaking day, and they're like, "You should do it with us." I'm like, "I don't have time for that." That's why I run in the first place, because I don't have time to, go any longer to anything else. 60 minutes is my maximum for running. It's all the patience I have for it. No pun intended. So, see, other than that, I don't really have anything else. Nothing else has really gone down in my world over in this neck of the woods, so that's what I got.
Lame.
Sorry. Next
No.
week I'll probably, or the week after next, I'll probably have more stuff.
No, like wrestling stories or getting
Yeah,
shit
I
on at
can't-
work or.
No, I don't get shit on at work.
Oh, you got past the I've forgotten the term for it. The part of the like whole employment business where you get shit on all the time because you're the new guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For a
Because
while
that
now.
lasted a while for you, like 2 years.
Yeah. Doesn't happen anymore because first of all, no one wants to do my shift, so no one can heap more stuff onto me. So
That's a
I'm
good
good.
deterrent. Yeah. Patient, you want to go next?
Sure. I mean, I don't really have too much to say either. I mean, well, I started the day in an amusing way. My father found a compendium of bad good jokes or good bad jokes or something like that.
Oh god.
For example, what's big, green, fuzzy, has 4 legs, and would kill you if it fell out of a tree? The answer is a pool table.
Okay.
Okay, here's one that's actually good. 2 cows walk into a vegan bar. The bartender says, "We don't serve your kind here."
Ah,
Uh,
a Roman soldier walks into a bar. He holds up 2 fingers and says, 5 beers, please.
Oh,
No one
Roman
explain it.
numerals, Casey.
No one explain it.
Oh, I get it. Yeah.
So a man walks into a bar and spends the whole night drinking. He says to the bartender, "If I can make your horse laugh, you can
Oh
go
no,
erase my
not
tab."
this one.
Okay, I won't tell it.
I'm sorry. It's just.
Okay.
Okay, so aside from that,
Yeah.
the new job's going well. I was actually above my quota for this week, so that's nice. Not really sure there's much else remarkable in that. I mean, I've been replaying the Kingdom Hearts 2, and I'm getting close to 100%ing the game for the first time. I
Really
mean,
did it?
I 100%ed the original one, sure, but it's the bonus bosses that really get you.
To be
That's
fair to
just-
him, I've never even played Kingdom Hearts, so
And I mean, I'm considering 100% to be collecting all of the trophies on the PS3. So, well,
Yeah, that's basically the new 100% thing. Which
is
you know, kudos to Sony for actually doing something worthwhile with that whole thing, the achievements thing. Like,
yeah.
You get the Platinum Trophy, you can say pretty definitively you've finished the game.
Yep. And I mean, there are some things that it doesn't cover, but only the rest is really only for people who just really care about it that much. And I like it being 100%, but if it's something I'd have to dedicate a lot of time to, just when everything else already shows it as being complete, not really sure I'd go for that. I'm talking specifically about the gummy missions. It's fun, absolutely, it's fun, but it's just a bit of a pain to get an S ranking on every single one of them, especially when in one particular mode, 10 missions in the game go up to S plus 10. So,
I liked the gummy missions from the first game.
Pardon?
I liked the gummy missions from the first game. Second game, not so much. Mostly because they made them... Like, I liked the shipbuilding part. And they made that pretty much inconsequential for the second game.
Well, I mean, you still have every opportunity to build the ship that you'd like to, and it's a lot easier.
Yeah, like I say, you can, but they put the blueprints up front and just say, like, hey, these are probably better than anything you're going to make, but you can make things if you really, really want to, but there's not much point, you know, you can just use the blueprints.
Fair enough. I suppose the blueprint options from the original game weren't exactly things that you'd probably jump at the opportunity to get.
Yeah. I mean, you could absolutely use the blueprints in the first game as well. It just wouldn't be as effective necessarily as something you could build yourself. In the second game, there's barely any point in building anything. Just how it worked out.
Fair enough. But they significantly improved the soundtrack and the enemies, if nothing else. I mean, I love some of those. Anyway, let me see. Is there anything else? Well, things are still going strong with my girlfriend, although she's dealing with the connection difficulties that come from living somewhere with dial-up.
Mm.
Ooh.
Don't ever say those words around me again. Don't bring back good memories. I assume that was the sound.
Yeah, that was the
I assume
dial-up
that was
sound.
the dial-up noise.
Oh, there's one other thing, of course. The Crossbrain Secret Project is very nearly complete. It'll be done well before the end of the month, and well, we're looking forward to seeing everyone's reaction to it. Aside from that, the next chapter is coming slowly but surely. We're probably just going to make it. The current plan is making it a bit shorter than our standard monstrous length, and just having it be something of a filler chapter, if you will. Not non-canon, but covering things going on in between Thriller Bark and what's coming next. Oh, also Soul Invictus updated, so that's interesting.
After 2 years of absence?
At least that, yeah. I'll bring that up later under recommendations. I mean, not sure I'd specifically recommend it, but I mean, it's a noteworthy fic, at least. So I suppose I don't really have anything else besides that. So who's next?
Weasel?
Well, let's see. Can't really think of anything really happening. Oh, my roommate got back from the hospital.
Not sure what descriptor to use for that particular circumstance, but sure. That sounds like it happened.
Well,
Also a reminder, careful of names.
Yeah, apparently his enzymes started eating at his muscles while he was passed out for 4 hours. Yeah, he was there 4 hours before I found him. And so he's on blood thinners. He's on enough blood thinners for 3 people. So he can't really work, because if he cuts himself or bumps his head, he'd have to be immediately rushed to the hospital.
Yeah, that sounds about right for blood thinners.
Fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's also cold and has to drink a lot of water.
Also, I assume no drugs. That seems like a bit of a given, but...
Yeah. Apparently, what he was on was, I'm not sure if I should share. Would that be okay, or is it just the names to avoid?
As long as you're not implicating people, it's pretty much fine.
Okay, it was apparently a synthetic version of crack that's been going around killing people.
Fair enough. So...
Synthetic crack.
Yeah. Just a reminder for everyone that's maybe on the fence about the particular issue. Crack is whack.
Yeah.
You saying that out loud like that made me really want to go try crack.
Yeah, he did.
Fandom Flux is a bad influence.
He doesn't normally use, but he was visiting a friend. He figured, what the heck, why not? And yeah, he says he's paying the price for. Yeah, he says he's paying the price for his stupidity.
Yeah, that's. Yeah. Yeah. Not really gonna argue that particular point.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. Continue. I don't know whether there's any more to that particular anecdote, or if you're moving on.
Well, because I saved his life, and his wife says his girlfriend says I saved his life. And
Name.
Okay. Yep.
Shit.
So 19 minutes. Writing down.
God damn it.
Continue.
And really, he says as shitty as the situation is, he's just happy to be alive.
Okay.
Oh, and that Yowie Legend of Zelda Breath of the Water RP I was doing with that dude Rory, we're doing another RP together. It's an NSFW, so I won't say much about that.
Okay.
Can't really. Yeah. I guess I could tell you it involves Pokemon Gajinka, Omegaverse, and Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah, the kitchen sink approach just seems to kind of work with RPs and not much else. Yeah.
Okay, and that's about my week.
Okay, I guess I'll go. In the meantime, Kenshi, think of something for us to talk about because we're only going to last for like half an hour.
Okay.
For after, champ.
Oh.
Yeah.
On the spot.
So, after my decompression weekend, I managed to actually get a little bit of writing done. Not much, but, you know, it's something, which is more than I've done in the past 3 months. So that was nice. Just kind of getting back into it. I have found out that the Old Republic is incredibly boring if they have an XP multiplier event going on. So I had to stop playing it. That was annoying, because the way it works is, hey, we're going to give you double XP for the week. So you out-level all of the content, and all of the supplementary stuff like crafting and everything is completely pointless because you'll have out-leveled your equipment within, like, a couple hours. So, yeah. That was unfortunate timing. So I stopped playing that for a week, and we'll probably pick it up once the event's done, which I think happens tomorrow. So, hopefully that goes better. I've been rewatching Extra History because that show is great. And yeah, I'm going to say I skipped the series they did on the pre-US Constitution government, the what was it? The Continental Congress. I shouldn't have done that. I was kind of expecting it to be a little bit of a jingoistic, quote-unquote patriotic propaganda fest, because that's how every American deals with your country's founding.
Thanks.
Not really a judgment on people, more on your education and the whole Pledge of Allegiance at the beginning of every day and all that kind of bullshit that is really creepy if you think about it for 5 seconds.
Yeah, I actually only did that in elementary school. Once I hit middle school, we didn't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, get them young. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it turned out it wasn't that, and I really should have given them more credit. After watching that, I kind of get the impression that your government's founding and that whole revolution thing was practically down to dumb luck, that your government didn't fuck it over entirely.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
We're the dumb luck country.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, there were several, apparently, according to the series, which admittedly I didn't fact check, but several instances of your, nascent government just deciding not to supply your army that was in the middle of a war. Several times.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Yeah, so that was an eye-opener, is what I'll call that. Because, again, mentioning it because it's relevant, we don't study that particular period in our history classes for...
How did you figure it went?
I figured you at least tried to support the revolution that you started. Turned out no, but...
British schools don't teach their students about the revolution they were involved with?
No, because we lost.
Well, okay then.
It's not that you lost so much that you got sidetracked by, fighting every other country in Europe at the same time.
Yeah. Pretty much. I mean,
you're like, let's not waste 100,000 soldiers over here for people that, are going to trade with us anyway once this is all blown over.
I mean, also, there's the fact that we have more than 300 years of history. We have about 1,500 to 2,000, depending on whether you count our inclusion in the Roman Empire. So, yeah, we have other things to focus on.
Like how the fact that every item in your museums is stolen.
Not every item, but a lot of them, certainly.
Oh yeah, I'm sure that if you gave back everything in the Royal British Museum to every country it was stolen from, you'd have like 2 items left.
No, there were a lot of items that were just,
borrowed permanently.
Okay, or invented by British people, or discovered by British people, or gifts from other nations that did happen, as a reminder.
Okay.
Hey, Weasel, I'm going to go borrow my neighbor's Porsche next door.
That's the British way to do it.
I'm just messing with you.
You don't get to do that anymore. You decided to be an American fuck-up, so now you get to vote against your best interests. That's how that works. Yeah, so... Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm kind of hoping they do, like, a series on 1066 at some point, because that'd be fun. And... I don't know whether Americans actually know what that is.
I don't.
Basically, real Cliff Notes version, Scandinavia and France decide to attack at basically the same time. So, the... 1066 was the year of 3 kings, because beginning of 1066, the king dies, so a very new king is suddenly exposed to, hey, everyone is trying to invade and kill us, and enslave us, so maybe do something about that. So, he does a forced march of the entire army to, Scotland, I think? I forget, it's something bridge, I forget the name of the battle, but manages to fight off Scandinavia, yay. Then has to force march all the way back south.
Back around.
Yep, turn around, go right the way back to the south coast, because the Normans are invading the French. Yeah.
A bunch of people named Norman.
He didn't win that one. He got shot by an arrow and died. Hence the 3 kings thing. And then Norman the Conqueror
Air
took
with the
over,
knee?
and then that didn't go very well for us. And basically sparked our hatred of the French for the next 1,000 years, more or less. Yeah, not a great time. But, yeah. I think that'd be a fun series for them to do. But they do, I think it's a poll or something for the patrons to choose what they do next. So, yeah, maybe they'll do it eventually. I think it'd be cool. Yeah.
Cool.
So, other thing I've been dealing with, I think I've mentioned before that I'm going to RTX London next month. Yeah, the RTX convention that they started this year in my country, so I can actually go to one, which is
awesome.
Nice. Problem is, I need photo ID, and the only photo ID that, pretty much everyone is expected to have except me is a driver's license. And since I can't get that, that means I'm left with either a passport, which is really annoying and bureaucratic nonsense to get, or try and get a different kind of ID. I think it's a proof of age card is what they call it, which may or may not be sufficient as photo ID, but it's easier to get.
Here in the United States, if you don't have a driver's license, the thing you're most likely to need to have is a state ID.
Yeah, we don't have that. We tried to implement a citizen's ID, and they put tracking chips in them, so that didn't go over well.
Huh.
Yeah, so... The thing that would have been really, really useful for me, they decided to put really unnerving monitoring systems in them, and that was...
They're there.
Yeah, so I am in the middle of trying to sort out that nonsense so I can actually go and have a good time. Woo. Fun. That's pretty much it, really. I ain't really got much else beyond that. Patience, typey type. Then you stopped. Okay. Kenshi, did you think of anything?
Maybe. Let's see if this floats your boat. So, is there a series of some sort, like a game or an anime or a manga or even a fan work that you followed for a while, but then it just burned you out and turned you off? If so, what was it and why?
Okay. I can pretty much answer that right now, actually. It's Ashes of the Past. It was a Pokemon fic that I believe was on Space Battles and transferred to fanfiction.net. And it was wacky time travel antics with the anime cast. And basically, Ash has to save the world because he does that every now and again. Only one time he fucks it up. So, Arceus, I think it's Arceus, sends him back and is like, hey, you get to do it all again and you win and such and be cool, but also save the world in the interim because that's kind of important. It's kind of why we're doing this. And it's basically like the anime plot, except successful and with the added benefit of decent zaniness alongside. Like, I think I've talked about before, the Squirtles just unilaterally being otaku, just all of them in varying ways. Like, Ash's Squirtle, naturally, because of the sunglasses, tries to be Kamina all the time.
That's funny, because the Squirtle sunglasses predate Kamina.
And they go to see a hidden Squirtle tribe, and they're all wearing Naruto headbands with a shell logo on them. Yeah, it was all fun stuff like that, and it went on for a really long time and outstayed its welcome. Like, basically, it did the Indigo League, and that was fun. Yay! And then, I think they did the Silver Conference, and that was fine too. And then for the third one, they decided, no, we really don't want to do another league, so we're just going to kind of skip it for the sake of doing a plotline from a film or Generations or something where a meteor is crashing to Earth and they need to deflect it, so it becomes a space battles style. Let's use all of our resources to try and solve this problem kind of thing, which was way less interesting. Like, in fairness, the League thing was also getting a little bit played out, so I can understand the impetus to do something different, but it wasn't a better alternative. It was also kind of dull.
I mean, I disagree on pretty much all counts. I found it no less entertaining as it goes on. I mean, I've been waiting for it to get to the Sinnoh part of the story where the actual plot is unfolding, and it's gotten there now, and I'm interested to see how the story is going to wrap up. But everything that's come between them, I really like how the author fleshed out the world of Pokemon and just all of the insane strategies and contest appeals and all that sort of stuff that could go on if you weren't worried about executive meddling and limitations and whatever they do to make sure that the story can keep going on. I just, even if you picture the, even if you complain about Ashes of the Past going on for too long, I'd rather read the excessively long Ashes of the Past than watch the excessively long and redundant and continuously resetting with no real rationalization the anime. So that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, I mean, it was fine. Like I say, for the first arc, fine. It's basically just doing the anime over, only better, which was great. And then the second arc, I just kind of dropped off, and I didn't really know why at the time. Then the third arc happened, and I knew exactly why when I tried to get back into it. It's because outside of just, hey, league, badges, etc., etc., there's not actually a plot. There isn't an overarching plot to any of that. So it might absolutely be way better for the fourth, where the actual plot of the story is supposed to happen, because it has a plot now, but until that point, it was just kind of going over the same territory over and over and over again. So,
well, I personally like that myself, just as long as they're making it new, different, and interesting, and the author is definitely doing it. That's my opinion. I do tend to see most things that aren't abhorrently written. If there are things I like, I do tend to see most things through a pair of rose-colored glasses. So, it's just me.
Anyone else? Ken, you brought up this topic.
You know what I'm gonna say.
Not really.
Bleach.
Oh, right.
Way to beat your horse into the ground.
I kind of forgot it
wasn't
existed.
even the horse wasn't even dead. The horse had crossed the finish line and was like preening and had like the roses around its neck and everything.
And then they said do another lap.
Damn it. We've talked about this enough, I think, in the past. If people understand my stance on it.
What was the question again?
Series that you've dropped for whatever reason.
You had the perfect ending. The ending was perfect.
It wasn't
fine.
perfect, but it was an ending.
Well,
It was good enough. I was fine with it. It didn't have to wrap up everything.
They still had some loose plot ends that they hadn't tied up in that ending, like where Kenpachi got Yachiro's name from.
Here's the thing.
Those answers.
You don't need to answer every question, and frankly, not answering every question can sometimes be beneficial because it lets your audience answer those questions, whether for themselves or coming up with theories and thus stories for other people to check out and see what they think. You know, fan fiction, that thing we do. So,
Okay.
that sounded way more judgmental than I meant it to be, but I'm just making a joke of it. Yeah, so it didn't need to keep going. It didn't need to answer those questions for us. A lot of people actually came up with, the real canon answer for that whole thing before it was confirmed. Like, there were a lot of stories that basically had Yachiro being Kenpachi's Zanpakuto, which was the way it worked out. So, yeah.
I'm glad Taylor's not here, or he would go on the biggest rant ever about Bleach.
Yeah, that would kind of probably trigger me and Kenshi, basically.
Yeah, I'm trying to not do that.
Yeah.
Set him up.
All right, so
You remember the kid that had the power over everything? And it's like, I could turn your bones to cookies as long as I imagine it. And then he suddenly stops doing that to his opponents for no adequately explained reason.
Who's this?
No.
Remember Pepe the Love?
I remember Pepe the Love.
Remember Superstar?
I remember Superstar. See, there were good villains in those arcs, but they were just kind of throwaway, and there wasn't any depth to any of them, including the main one.
You remember Burnerfinger?
What? I don't remember this in Bleach.
You remember the Pain guy?
I remember the Pain. Yeah, these were Vandenreich villains, the Quincy ones from the last arc.
Oh, okay. I didn't follow the last arc because I don't read crap.
Yeah, we reviewed it chapter by chapter, so we know a lot about that shit. But
it exists. Go back and watch how we bury this shit. It's
I've never read past the part where Ichigo loses his powers. Honestly, but I've looked up some details of what happened in the meantime, and I like some of the things that they did after the time skip for the Quincy arc. I like some of the questions that they answered there, but it doesn't compensate for just how messy the whole thing was, all things considered.
By the end of it, he knew they were getting canceled, so...
Yeah, he knew they were getting cancelled by the Fullbring arc, and he was taking full advantage of the fact that the editors wanted to let him give it a proper ending. So he was like, the final arc! 150 chapters before the thing actually ended. Yeah. So, I mean, the Fullbring thing was stupid and is basically skippable if you want to just say, hey, Ichigo gets his powers back because the 13 squads decide, hey, he's kind of cool, we should give him his powers back. So they do. And then you just jump right into the Vandenreich and just do that instead. There is some stuff there that's worthwhile. Like, we've probably listed most of it, which was Burnerfinger, Pepe the Love, Superstar. God, I love Superstar in hindsight.
He's my favorite.
It was so great. He was just this big, muscly wrestler dude who had... His power was a fan. It was just a little dude that would follow him around and cheer him on, and every time the fan would cheer him on, he would get stronger. It was so stupid, but it was great. And if you beat him, but the fan cheered him on afterwards, then he would just get up. Just not care. It was so good. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. But there was little pockets of good there, and it was just drowned out by a lot of other stuff that was not.
Oh, I just realized a series I actually liked but dropped for a reason or another.
Okay.
Go for it.
Inheritance trilogy.
Uh,
I actually loved that book, but then I realized it was crap.
well, I mean, I read part way through the book version of Aragon. I mean, I know that the movie version of it received a lot of flack, and I believe that the Nostalgia Critic actually recently reviewed that. I haven't seen that review. I saw the movie way back when I was too young to actually think about
He
it.
lampooned it.
I mean, but nah, I don't really have anything to say. I can hardly remember the.
Funny thing about Aragon and the Inheritance trilogy or Inheritance cycle, whatever the frick Baldini wants to call it. Baldini? No, whatever. Paolini, that was it. Paolini, whatever the frick Paolini wants to call it, is that the editor was basically checked out during the entire production of the trilogy. Aragon was plopped on his desk. He showed it to his daughter and was like, "Hey, how's this look?" She's like, "It's the best book ever, Daddy." He's like, "Cool, greenlight that shit."
Okay.
That's why they let in the phrase. That's why the editors somehow let the phrase slip past them, ascending downward. Or was it descending upward? Either way.
I mean, if it's like some sort of echelon-like geometry of just every direction going on at once, that could potentially make sense, but I don't know the context because I never read it.
It was a really shitty, waxing poetic moment.
Ah.
Paolini had a penchant for meaningful, meaningless words.
Ah. Okay.
I mean, yeah, it was an accomplishment for such a young author, but and there was a time where I considered it my favorite book. I'm ashamed of young, stupid me.
I think most people have those. Like, I don't know whether anyone in this current cast is going to be familiar, but when I was like 15, I was very enamored with the Drizzt Do'Urden books.
The Dresden Files?
No, Drizzt Do'Urden. It was like D&D supplemental books about a dark elf that turned into a good guy. There were a lot of them, and they were very popular to the point where in the 90s there was a sudden upswell of heel face turn drow that would just like everyone wanted to play a chaotic good drow elf because of these books. And yeah, it was okay in hindsight. It was very, hey, you feel disenfranchised because you're weird and different, but you're still cool, was basically the message of the entire series. Unsurprisingly, it spoke to teenage me, but adult me is like, my god, this is trite bullshit. So.
Oh, you know what's a series that I realized later was shit, but still like?
Sword Art Online.
Sword Art Online. I'm fully aware it is complete and total garbage, but I still like it. And I'm ashamed.
Abridged has basically supplanted the original for me, just in its entirety.
Oh, Abridged is amazing. It makes Sword Art Online good.
Yeah.
Like, not even as a parody, as a story on its own. It is amazing.
Yeah. First couple episodes are a little rough, like using I've forgotten his handle, but Kirito's voice actor as just extras was a mistake. That guy has a distinctive voice. Yeah, so that just ended up being confusing rather than, oh, he's, doing another character.
The Bridge series really picks off when Asuna and Kirito really started interacting, because, oh my god, that relationship is so realistic and believable.
Yeah, kind of. Just mutual spite kind of carrying it on until they just kind of end up, yeah, okay, fine, whatever. We'll just be together, I guess.
The only realistic fictional depiction of a dysfunctional relationship that I've ever seen. Oh my god, amazing.
Still waiting for season 2 of that.
I
have no idea how they're gonna do that and make that good.
I'm not sure about season 2 of that, but I do know, this is a bit unrelated, but, well, I think Kenshi will like it. Season 2 of One Punch Man isn't too far away.
Ooh,
yes.
Nice. Do you think they'll be going up against Garo this time?
Gotta think. Not sure.
I should probably watch that one. I mean,
you should. It's really good. You should watch it.
Zero really wants me to watch Mob Psycho 100, which is that guy's other work and the less popular one. But good. I should probably just watch the Populist show and just go with that.
No, actually, Luke and I watched Mob Psycho 100 together, and it is amazing.
Well, we're discussing that tomorrow, so...
Okay.
Yeah.
But yes, watch One Punch Man. This is a Kenshi recommendation. And you know I don't give many of those. So...
Okay, it looks like it's going to be... Wait, what? No, that's not right. This is confusing. It would begin airing July 16th. No, wait, what? It was confirmed in September 2016. It said it would air in July.
It's an old article.
Yeah, I know it's an old article, but... never mind. Alright, so yeah, we can recommend One Punch Man. My brother and sister really like it, and... Well, I mean, I've said before that I don't like parodies of any sort, but... it's too funny for me to dislike it, from what I've seen.
What is?
One Punch Man. I mean, it's
not
a parody.
No, it's not so much a parody as a deconstruction.
Fair enough. Alright, well...
I have a question.
Yes?
Has everyone here who wants to watch Defenders watched Defenders?
What's Defenders?
The Marvel
Netflix
show.
Marvel series.
I was not aware this was a thing. Apparently I've been living under a rock.
I may have heard of it, but I don't pay too much attention to Marvel and DC stuff.
I have no plans to watch it.
I guess that's a yes for both of them.
Okay. Can we talk about Defenders a little bit?
I'm down, seeing as how I watched the whole thing.
I mean, okay. I probably don't have anything to contribute, but go ahead.
Well, we're at about 50-something minutes, so I'm going to say let's do recommendations and then we'll get into that and just have the episode end with that. So if people don't want to listen to us talk about Defenders and me get a little bit ranty, then
people want to hear you get a little bit ranty.
Yeah, but there'll be spoilers for a show that came out fairly recently for Netflix terms. So if they want to watch the show first, they can.
Fair enough.
But yeah,
All right.
so
So
recommendations.
I've got one.
All right.
This is Better Off Alone by The Great Chicken Miasma.
Okay.
come again.
Her username is The Great Chicken Miasma. Or is that Miasma?
Miasma.
Oh, The Great Chicken Miasma. Miasma!
Yeah, that basically means the Great Chicken Fog.
Poison Fog.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's gone through several usernames over the years. Chicken Miasma Productions. Lately, she's settled on The Great Chicken Miasma. Better Off Alone is a Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door fanfic, which generally follows the plot of the game from the point that Vivian joins, and is a Vivian Coops romance. I should warn you, it is not a happy fanfic, and if you're sensitive to abuse, you probably wouldn't like it. You also might remember that I recommended another fanfic from The Great Chicken Miasma, College Rule Picario, the really old door thingy, which is a Pokemon Mario crossover parody. And this fanfic is very different. But funny thing about Better Off Alone, it's so popular, it's actually bled into other Mario fanfics. In Better Off Alone, okay, you know how in Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door you name the Yoshi baby that hatches? Well, in Better Off Alone, his name is Waffles. And other fanfics have taken to calling the Yoshi from Thousand Year Door Waffles.
Fair enough.
Well, imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, and it says a lot if a lot of people are emulating a name from a certain, or a name or event from a certain fic as mainstream.
It's
and
not
this is also
whenever I hear that quote, I think of Cell now. That's not...
Waffles? Oh, imitation is the... Okay.
Imitation is the sincerest form of flattery.
Don't do that again. It's not remarkably accurate.
Oh, and I've actually chatted with Chicken Miasma, and she is awesome.
I'd probably want to play, or at least watch a playthrough of that game before I read the book, of course, but...
Oh, it is by far the best Paper Mario game.
Alright. So, who's next?
I got one, because why not?
Sweet.
So, Zero wrote a story recently, and it's a thing that exists for once. Yay!
For how long? That's the question.
It's not like the Krillin thing. He's actually done more than one chapter. Yay! Actually, in this instance, the echo is kind of great because it's like I have a cheering section. It's awesome. So, yeah, it's called Lie, Cheat, Steal, and Survive. I think Zero's talked about it in the previous episode, but I'm doing a recommendation now. It's a Ruby story, and it basically follows the character of Roman Torchwick, who is, or was intended to be a throwaway villain in canon, but people liked him enough that he got a slightly bigger role and was thrown away a little bit later, essentially.
He also, they also said part of the reason that they made him the Volume 1 villain and even gave him a level in Badass was because his voice actor did such a good job with him.
Oh, yeah. Just, like, most of the appreciation for the character came from his one-line reading in the first episode where all of his mooks are just kind of standing around while Ruby is doing her badass pose, and he just kind of looks at them and goes, "Get her?" And yeah, just that one line read basically sold everyone on the character.
He's also a really genre savvy villain. When the heroes show up, he cuts his losses and makes out with what he has.
Yeah. So basically what this story is Roman has a semblance. Go figure, which is the basically personal superpower of every character in the series. And his is when he dreams of how he is going to die. So basically, things are going as normal in like the canon plot line. Then he has a dream of how he's going to die, which is how he dies in canon. So he's like, okay, what if I do this? And the dream changes the next night, and basically he either dies at Ruby's hands, the main character, or Cinder's hands, the main villain. So it becomes a story where it's a tightrope he's walking for how he can survive everything. Like, he's a character that kind of puts himself first in everything, so the idea that he would die very soon is distressing for him, for obvious reasons. So just basically doing whatever it takes to survive. Hence the name. So it's quite well done. It shakes a lot of the canon framework up. Like, the teams are basically entirely different in this story.
Why?
Because he... so let's spoil it. He goes to Beacon because that's a place where he can get some measure of protection from Cinder's side. At least at the time. So, because he's going to Beacon, he is put on the teams, which means the teams can't be how they are normally, and him being a manipulative so-and-so, he manipulates some of the main characters and ends up on one of their teams. So it goes. Yeah, it's really well done. It's shaking up a lot of the canon stuff, which is... I can't remember. I think this is the most Zero has done to actually change the canon material in one of his stories, which is pretty cool. I'm glad he's moving out of his comfort zone. The whole English degree is probably helping. So, good for him. Anyone else?
Aren't you gonna, link?
I have.
Yeah, I'm doing.
Well, let's see. Does Kenshi happen to have any?
Nope.
Didn't think so. I mean, it's expected, but just figured I'd ask. So I have two recommendations. One, not so much a recommendation as just drawing more attention to it. As I said, Soul Invictus updated again recently. I bring it up. It was the first, and before this bite, only really self-insert story that was noteworthy in any way. Gathered.
You're cutting in and out for some reason.
Sorry. Basically, Soul Invictus, before this bite, it was the first and only notable self-insert fanfiction in the One Piece category. Over 1,000 favorites, hit the top 25. It's basically... Well, it's far from a traditional self-insert fic. I mean, the author barely calls it a self-insert fic at all. The only reason that she still does is, well, the initials match. Self-insert Soul Invictus. So she says. Anyway, it's a reincarnation fic that has the protagonist born as a female. It's also stirs up a few other butterflies in the story by having a few other minor characters in the story gender bent, like Nojiko, Zeph, and Kawina. Just influencing their characters a bit more. So, it's only at the Baratier arc right now, but as I said, it's recently updated, so figured I may as well draw some more attention to it. It's a noteworthy.
Okay.
And my other recommendation is something that it's an idea that I really like. It's well, picture this. Harry Potter. What would happen if in the story of the Chamber of Secrets, the basilisk entered the Great Hall?
Everybody would die?
Exactly. Basilisk is just that dangerous. So this story by an author that I've recommended before explores the rational reaction to finding out that something like that was in the school. So, Petrification Proliferation by White Squirrel. This is a reasonably short story, about 30,000 words, 7 chapters, that just explores the rational response to finding out that a basilisk was in the school, which is basically evacuating the school, calling in the ministry to make absolutely sure that there aren't any more deadly creatures that could kill with a single glance within the school, and a lot of things butterfly outwards from there, such as discovering Pettigrew, for instance. So that alone gives some indication of how much this is warped. It's got a bit of an open ending. It doesn't cover everything that happens in the aftermath, but covers the immediate events and leaves the ending open for interpretation of how it goes from there. So that's my recommendation. It's a well-written story, and I like it a lot. And once again, this is the second story by White Squirrel that I've recommended. So, excellent author.
You need to link the other one.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
Just a moment.
So that's recommendations. Patreon hasn't gone through yet. I think that's tomorrow that it goes through. So we will do the thank you shout out next week. In the meantime, this episode is more or less over, so thanks for listening to episode 191. Patreon, YouTube, comments to talk to us and such. We will respond if we have something to say. The rest of this is pretty much just going to be spoilers for Defenders.
Yeah, Casey's going to be giving out for a little while now.
Yeah, so if you don't want spoilers for Defenders and want to watch it, and I'd say enjoy it, but that kind of stops after a certain episode.
Casey's going to be giving out, and I will be egging him on.
Yeah, so if you don't want spoilers for that show, then I would suggest bouncing at this point. So thanks for listening. Bye, everybody that doesn't want that. Yeah. So I'm going to give a couple seconds so people can just kind of stop the video. Like, if they're just, watching and, doing something else, now would be a good time to switch the tab over so that you can stop us from talking about something that you don't want to hear about. Like, say...
Yes, this is a common courtesy, so don't take it for granted.
Yeah. So, I'm going to give you a count of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Defender sucked! Wow! I said after watching it, the first time we talked about it, I think it was a couple of weeks ago, which is convenient because we have a 2-week spoiler policy, so we're just kind of working from that. But it didn't blow me away at the time, and there were a lot of really obvious reasons why it kind of sucked. But having thought about it, and basically last week, Zero and I kind of got into it about the show, and I realized something really, really dumb.
Okay.
Defenders is literally the plot of the Avengers.
Oh, God. Oh, no. DC, why?
It's
Marvel.
not DC. It's Marvel.
Oh, my bad. See, this is how little I know about it.
They literally lifted the entire plot of the Avengers and just slapped it on the Defenders.
Oh, Marvel, why?
So, let me know if you heard this story before. There are a few different, superhero type characters. They are completely separate, with maybe a couple of linking characters that know them each individually, but mostly separate. After a little while, they start to meet up. Some of them come in conflict, naturally, because they have different viewpoints on how everything should go. But eventually, they kind of come together when faced with a common enemy who all of them oppose. That coming together is not smooth or seamless. They still kind of at each other's throats, but have a bit of a ceasefire going on. Then a unifying character appears and basically says, "Hey, you guys should all work together." Some of them are on board with this idea. Some of them aren't. Then the enemy shows up, and through some more circumstances, the unifying character gets killed. The death of this unifying character brings together the different hero characters, and they go out of their way to band together and defeat the enemy, with significant collateral damage involved.
Oh, boy.
Does this sound familiar?
Oh, man. Marvel, why?
Kenshi, thoughts?
Oh, you mean on Iron Fist Season 2? Yeah, it was not the best. I don't know what to say. The second I realized it's all the hand, I was like, okay, I'm kind of checking out here. Like,
the hand makes, on the face of it, it makes sense. It is a giant organization of basically street level villains. They are a lot of them, but they're still basically street level. They're just ordinary people with martial arts, mostly. That kind of makes sense, but
it's boring. Like, the main conflict wasn't even about the heroes versus the hand. It was about how will these four different characters come together with all these differences between them, and it wasn't even that bad. Like, it played it up for worse than it actually was or should have been. Like,
you remember when Luke Cage was, doing his damnedest to defend that kid who just like
you mean the kid
30 seconds
dead
before was trying to burn dead bodies? Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I was waiting for someone to bring up the fact that he was burning dead bodies. No one decided to do that. No one seemed to think it was important or, change the circumstances at all. And funnily enough, apparently Luke Cage knew about that, but thought, gotta make a living somehow. Like,
no.
There's a
That's
line,
not how that
right?
works.
There's a line that you're not supposed to cross even in those circumstances, right? That's how that works.
How dare you try to stop this guy that was burning bodies? I know his family.
Yeah. I have a personal connection. That means you're wrong. Like, in fairness, that one really weird ethics morality misstep there, put aside that, And Luke Cage was the most interesting part of the show.
Cool.
He seemed the most level-headed. His plot lines seemed the least contrived, mostly because he was the guy that was like, I got superpowers. I should probably do something to help people with that. And that was his motivation for the entire show. And because it was pretty much just that simple, he was the most consistent character in it. Danny Rand, the Iron Fist by comparison, was all over the fucking place.
I had no idea he was the Iron Fist. How did you know he was the Iron Fist?
Oh, you see, he told me every scene he was in. Yeah, he's, in case people didn't know, Danny Rand, for those unfamiliar with the character, he happens to be the immortal Iron Fist. Yeah.
He's immortal?
No.
His title is the immortal Iron Fist. The Iron Fist is supposedly immortal. He isn't.
Oh, you sure about that? Want to test it?
Yes.
He kind of... So... his whole thing is he wants to fight the Hand. That's his thing. His entire show previous to this one was basically, should we kill people in this war that we're fighting against people that very much want to kill people? Should we do that? Claire Temple in that show being basically, no, never, ever, under any circumstances, kill people, because I'm a doctor, and I don't like the idea of hurting people, essentially. This is basically the entire thrust of her character for that show. It got really, really annoying. Really, really quickly. But basically that's all thrown out of the window. The whole, should I kill people? Yeah, probably. Is basically where he comes down on that at the end of that show. Well, by the start of this show, technically. But, yeah. So, he comes into the show, and he's fighting the Hand. Woo. Then, he meets up with the others. And he's like, should we fight the Hand? Some of them are like, sure. Some of them are like, I don't care. And then, it turns out that the Hand want him specifically for something. They don't really know why, but they're very determined to take him alive.
Oh god. Oh god.
So, the unifying character, who is Stick, by the way, from the Daredevil stuff, is like, hey, we know who they want now. They want this guy. So, maybe we just hide this guy for a while, and we foil their plans by default. And was like, huh. That's a reasonable and tactically viable plan. Good job, Stick. Danny Rand, like, meanwhile...
But I have to fight the Hand.
Yeah, okay. Well, if you have to fight the Hand, the thing is, this way, we're stopping the Hand's goals. So then, we can fight the Hand, you just have to stay out of it for a bit.
But I have to fight the Hand.
We are fighting the Hand by making sure you're not fighting the Hand, and you're kept safe and out of the way to foil their plans.
No! I have to fight the Hand, and if you're not with me, you're against me.
We're not against you. We're helping you achieve your goals by telling you how you can best do that by staying away.
That's it. I'm getting out of here to fight the Hand.
Oh, that dumb shit.
Danny Rand was not a likable character in his show. He just seemed like kind of a fuckwit, to be perfectly honest. They did not improve my disposition towards him in the show. So the other two characters that we haven't talked about. Daredevil stuff. I'm kind of fine with, mostly, actually, to be honest. There were... No, I can't really think of... Like, the only thing that was kind of annoying for the Daredevil stuff was that the side characters were there and they really didn't need to be.
Yeah. It was basically... The side characters that he's talking about are his lawyer friend, Foggy Nelson, and Karen Page, who used to work with them in their lawyer's firm but became a reporter.
Yeah.
They're basically... They think Daredevil is a death wish for him and he doesn't want to live and blah, blah, blah. Despite the fact that, you know, the entire city's like going to hell around them, in front of them. And he's one of 4 people that are able to stop it. But no, don't be Daredevil anymore, even though you kind of need to save the city.
Yeah. They treat it kind of like a drug addiction plot, which it's very demonstrably not. And, you know, that's fine to a certain extent for, you know, they care about him, they want him to live. He's probably not going to do that if he keeps fighting crime all the time. That's fine. Do you know what the rest of their plot is in this story that is 8 episodes long? They're there to stand in the police station so they don't get kidnapped by the Hand. That's it. The entire plot for most of the side characters of these 4 shows that these characters come from is to just kind of be there and be like, man, it sucks to just kind of be sidelined like this. Yup. Wish we could do something, you know, that'd be cool. Yup. That's it. There are several scenes of that exact dialogue in this show. You want to know why they got rid of the side characters in Avengers? Because this shit kills pacing. This is like saying, hey, we know that really, you know, okay, admittedly, it wasn't a really great story, but that other story that you're kind of invested in is going on. You want to see something completely unimportant instead for a little bit? Yeah? Cool. Okay, let me show you these characters that are doing basically nothing for the entire show. Now, yeah, that... Yeah.
Yeah, the manga started focusing on Sasuke at one point. And no
Patient
one
just dropped, isn't that what ruined the Bleach and Naruto anime? Because you just said that with no context.
Are you... Oh, sorry. Yeah. Patient, are you referring to the fact that the manga started focusing on Sasuke and no one gave a frick about Sasuke at the time?
What I'm referring to is the very, very many filler arcs that the anime put in the middle of the big action.
Oh, okay.
With no build-up, no introduction, no rhyme or reason.
Okay.
Yeah, there's some aspects of that going on, I'm not gonna lie. It's not exactly like that. There is technically reason for it. I mean, there are things going on like earthquakes, power outages, things that affect these characters that are being hidden away, and they're like, what was that? What's going on? Is stuff going on? Yeah, probably. Okay, then. And then we go back to the action, because... It served basically no purpose. and just wasted time. They could have cut an entire episode out of it by just cutting down on the pointless dialogues between these characters. Then we have Jessica Jones. Jessica Jones, also fine. Mostly because she, similarly to Luke Cage, had a very simple plot.
I just want to figure out what the hell happened with this one guy.
Yeah.
Because I'm a detective.
Yeah. And everything else, she doesn't really give a shit. Which, fair enough. Her whole thing is, I don't want to be a superhero. Tried it, got me brainwashed for 6 months and forced me to kill a person. Not really interested in trying that again, thank you very much. So, does her damnedest to kind of stay as far away from the weirdness as she can. Until the end.
She sure does enjoy jeans and leather jackets.
Yeah. Nothing wrong with that. Yeah, so her whole thing is actually fairly straightforward, but as a result of it being fairly straightforward, it's also fairly flat. It's like, everyone's doing interesting things except her, who's like, I don't care. Leave me alone. And yeah, that isn't an endearing character trait. That doesn't make me like the character anymore, of her just being obstinate and just doing her damnedest to stay out of the show, basically. It makes sense for the character, but it, doesn't help the story. Then we have basically the other character that is given the spotlight for no adequate reason. Iron Fist's sidekick.
Colleen Wing.
Thank you. I'd forgotten her name because she is so incredibly forgettable.
She has a sword.
She does. She has a sword.
And hold on, give me a second, it'll come to me. Something else.
A sheath?
Something. Technically, yes. Let's go with that.
Yeah. So, her whole thing is she's a sidekick. That's basically it. She's a sidekick, and she doesn't want to be put on the sidelines like a sidekick, because she's a sidekick. She didn't really need to be in this show. She doesn't add anything. Like, there is a thing. The villain of the Iron Fist show is one of the leaders of the Hand, and he dies at the end of that. Thing about the Hand, they have the ability to resurrect people. They lose that ability at the beginning of this show, for reasons that we'll probably get into.
How are they resurrecting people?
It's not important.
It's really not important.
Okay.
It becomes important, technically, but it's really not important. So, they lose the ability to resurrect people. That being said, they managed to resurrect someone anyway after that, which is the villain from Iron Fist. And he's basically there so he can fight Colleen Wing. If you remove those two characters,
Nothing
you
changes.
lose nothing, and you fix a plot hole. That's another episode wasted. So, at this point, this show could have been told in 6 episodes, would have been paced better, would have been plotted better, would have wasted less of the audience's time.
And it would have cost less.
Yup. 2 less actors you have to pay.
2?
Yeah, her and him.
No, 2 is a minimum.
Yeah. So that's all. Let's say that's our hero characters. There's also Claire Temple, but she is basically nothing in this show. She does things, like her thing with Luke Cage is, that's good character interaction. She's way better than she was in Iron Fist, which makes me think, hey, maybe she shouldn't have been in Iron Fist, but that's another discussion. But let's move on to the villains. They got Sigourney Weaver for this show. She is also kind of pointless. Like, she's there and technically making decisions. She is the leader of the hand. Doesn't do much. Like, the whole plot of the villains is we're gonna resurrect Elektra, who was a character in Daredevil. And they do.
Because she's some kind of superhuman weapon.
Yeah. The Black Sky, as they keep calling her. She... If you've seen Buffy, she's basically a Slayer, essentially. So, she gets brainwashed to being their puppet, and Sigourney Weaver's character is the one doing the brainwashing. And it turns out the brainwashing doesn't take very well, because she keeps letting the heroes go. Mostly because Daredevil, because they had a thing, yada yada. Here's the thing. I think it's 6 episodes in. Elektra kills Sigourney Weaver. Okay. You know what would have been way easier? If you had to do that in the first episode. Yeah. So, instead of having a character just swanning around being ancient and ineffectual, you just have the character that people are invested in immediately take over and immediately be much more direct and, interesting and active in the plot.
She was in so many scenes where they were establishing quote-unquote background, where you learn nothing.
Yep.
And I'm talking about, these lasted, like, if you had to add up all this time, it's like at least 45 minutes worth of content that led to nothing and was worth nothing and explained nothing.
Yeah. Sigourney Weaver's character dies having done nothing. Not a thing. Resurrected Elektra. Apparently everyone else thinks that was a stupid idea, and it probably was. And then does nothing for the entire show. Yep. That was a worthwhile use of a very famous actress, I'm sure.
Pay me. Pay me. It's more money that did not need to be spent.
Yeah. So, yeah, and then there are other villain flunkies that are not as interesting and don't really contribute much, other than one of them supposed to be kind of the big badass, creepy, evil guy that is spectacularly and incomprehensibly ineffectual. Like, I think he gets knocked out in one punch in the first fight he has with the heroes. And, yeah, that was a lot of build-up for nothing.
I thought that was hilarious, actually.
Yeah.
Like, he had them all fighting and everything. He had them all infighting and everything, like, while he was trying to escape right in front of them, and then Stick cut his head off. It's kind of great.
So, yeah, Oh, you were talking about the African guy. No, I was talking about the Japanese guy.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. They did do that, didn't they?
Yeah.
All they did was, like, he did kind of... Oh, wait, he didn't really do anything, did he? He
Not
did
a thing.
nothing.
Yeah. So, the villains were a mess. At least half of the heroes were a mess. Or pointless. And they ripped off the plot of a film that did this not only way better, but also made more sense in context. Like, the context of this show also makes no sense. These characters are meant to be street-level heroes. They fight thieves, they fight murderers, muggers, rapists, gangs,
Crime lords.
Yeah, crime lords. That kind of stuff. This show ends in the sub basement of a multinational financial corporation where there are the bones of a dragon and they're fighting ninjas, immortal ninjas. Does that sound street level to you? Like, I don't know how you get that far off from the purpose of this kind of character. Like, the idea of this being Iron Fist Season 2, yeah, there's a good reason for that. This is his shtick, and basically no one else's. He is the only one that makes sense in this context. For a certain definition of making sense. Everyone else is just kind of there. To put that in perspective, they based this show around the least popular of the preceding shows.
Yeah. I didn't like the idea of the show from the beginning.
I did. Because
I did not.
they put this concept forward after doing Daredevil, the first season. And then they did Jessica Jones. And then they did Luke Cage. And at this point I'm thinking, man, it would be hard to mess this idea up. And then they did Iron Fist.
After Iron Fist, that was when I realized it was not going to work. After Iron Fist.
There is such a disconnect between him and the rest of the cast.
See, here's the thing. That's not even the problem. Like, it would have been fine had the entire basis of the Defenders plot not been mainly focused around Iron Fist.
That's what I'm saying. There is such a disconnect between him and the rest of the cast. It was either going to be centered around him, or he was going to be wildly out of place with everything else that was going on. They decided on the former. Frankly, that was quite possibly the worst mistake they could have made. Like, I have to wonder, when the show was in production, had Iron Fist already come out?
I don't even know. It must have been, because the turnaround wasn't that long after.
No. So, I have to assume this show was in production before Iron Fist was released. Which makes this make a little more sense, because they didn't know at the time that Iron Fist was kind of garbage. By comparison to the other shows, at least. So, they thought, hey, that Iron Fist stuff, that's like a higher level than the rest of the shows have done. There's more threat in that show's villains, so we should use that. I mean, if it's a team-up show, then there has to be a high threat level, right? That makes sense. So we use his villains. I mean, Daredevil's kind of connected, right? That means it should doubly work. No, it didn't. So here's another thing me and Zero talked about. He, at one point, said, wow, they ripped off the entire Avengers plot. You and I, me and Zero, could brainstorm a better idea than that right now if we wanted to. I took that as a challenge, naturally. So, alternative for how they could have done this show. Okay.
I'll poke holes where I see fit.
Fair enough. So, they wanted to use the hand. Okay. I can buy that. The hand makes sense. They're, like I say, an army of street-level villains. That makes sense for a show like this. It's increase in threat that makes sense for an increase in hero threat. So
I will say, let me cut you off right there. I will say the only good thing that I got out of Iron Fist is how they get people for the hand.
Yeah. It's basically a cult, is the idea. Yeah. So, that being the case, Stick, in his infinite wisdom, still wants Daredevil to join the Chaste, his own army that opposes the Hand. That being the case, he decides to basically bait the Hand into fighting them in New York. So, Stick basically drags all of his forces to New York to bait the Hand into attacking them there, so that Daredevil will feel compelled to join the Chaste, or at least join in the fighting and be more open to the idea of joining the Chaste, for the sake of protecting his city. Doing that naturally gets Luke Cage involved, because he is very protective of the city, much like Daredevil is. Iron Fist obviously chases the Hand wherever they go. Jessica Jones, I have no idea how you get her involved. Even the show was kind of just... she kind of gets involved for reasons, even though she doesn't care about anything. So, you basically have a three-way conflict there. You have the Chaste versus the Hand, and somewhere in the middle, varying on where they particularly stand, either in the middle or on the side of the Chaste, you have the Defenders. And then you have drama between the characters of the Defenders, because Daredevil is like, we shouldn't trust Stick, he is the reason they're even fighting in New York, because he's a manipulative dickhead. And then you have Iron Fist that's like, hey, check it out, it's my army. They fight the Hand for me. Kick ass. Okay, let's fight the Hand together, you guys. What's up? What's up?
That is exactly basically how he would have reacted.
Yeah.
He would have been overjoyed.
Yeah. And Luke Cage would basically be like, I don't really care which side we fight on as long as we're protecting the people, which is his thing. Jessica Jones, I have no fucking idea. Because unfortunately, she really doesn't fit in the crowd, because she doesn't care. And I don't know how you handle that. Like, even in the show, it was kind of weak. I think we came up with something, but I'm going to have to troll through the conversation to figure it out. But yeah.
Wrote all this down.
Oh, that was it. Because it's brainwashing. Because that's what they do, because it's a cult, and that's how they recruit people. And that pushes the buttons because, Purple Man. Kilgrave. Yeah. So, there you go. There's an idea for how they could have done this without a lot of the weird kind of nonsense that was going on in the background that didn't really... There was a lot of leading for the plot, and it was really clumsily handled. And I feel like a lot of that just didn't need to be there. And could have been avoided with a bit more of a personal drama bent to it than... They're trying to do something. What? Something. Probably bad. Yeah, so... Even more, that was a damp squib of an ending as well. Like, everyone thought, oh, it sounded kind of like the Arrow plot for Season 1, to be perfectly honest. Oh, they're going to destroy a city because that's a thing they want to do because purifying the world like League of Shadows or something. And that's the impression they give for basically the entire show until the last episode, where they're like, oh yeah, that whole immortality thing, we need dragon bones to do that, because that's a myth about dragons, is that you do something to the bones and you become immortal. Yay. One Piece used that in the filler, if you remember. Yeah, so the villain's plot for destroying New York was basically a byproduct. They're like, oh, we have to mine these bones so that we can be immortal. Yeah, eventually that might destroy New York, possibly. We don't really know. It could, though. That's a thing that could happen. And it's like, what? That was the big threat of the show? I don't... I wish that show was better.
Maybe if you watch it again, it will be.
No, it won't. There are so many... If I watch it again, I'm just gonna find more holes to poke, because there are so many.
That's what I want you to do. I want this to be your new Mass Effect.
I don't need... Ugh. This concept really deserved to be better. And there are just so many ways that are so obvious how it could have been. And they just decided, nah, fuck it, let's be lazy.
Listen, Casey, Defenders was a thing. It happened. We're past it. We're moving on to better things like Kingpin returning the next season of Daredevil.
Is that a thing that's happening?
Probably. He's out. Also, Punisher.
I don't give a shit about Punisher.
I don't believe there will be much to the story. I just want to see because they did cool Punisher stuff in Daredevil.
They did for the part of the show that he was in before they decided, we want to do Elektra instead. Yeah.
So I'm like, my body is ready for more Punisher.
Of course you would say that.
Yeah, I just did.
Yeah. The joke was because you injure yourself all the time.
Whatever.
Yeah.
You got any more? You got a Steam?
I think I've pretty much covered everything. Yeah. It's just...
That went like an hour.
It could have been so much better. And... like, I don't understand how that happened. Because I looked up the writers. They're the writers from, like, Daredevil. You know, the good ones that did a really amazing job.
Could be a directing issue.
They rushed it, first of all.
Yeah. Oh well. So yeah, that is basically extended thoughts on the Defenders and how really, really poor it was.
Really extended. We've been talking about it for an hour.
Not quite. It's like 55 minutes.
It's hair splitter.
Yeah, an hour.
It's not an hour. Details are important. So, I guess, bye everybody.
He's down.
I'm
Bye,
sad.
guys.
I'm sad. I preferred anticipating the fucking Defenders show than I did actually watching. I pronounced that really weird. That was weird. That was weird emphasis on the wrong syllables.
That was Frankenfurter's pronunciation.
I preferred anticipating the show than actually having seen the show. Because, I don't know, maybe that's a flaw of being a writer, that you can imagine it so much better in your head than how it ends up.
And that's why fanfiction exists. A lot of better professional writers may be able to get some of their better ideas by browsing fanfiction.
That's a lot of browsing they would have to do to find the worthwhile ideas.
Well, not really. Just organize it by favorites. I mean, it's typical for the better ideas to be the more popular ones, right?
Ish. Or they end up with a lot of shows about dudes fucking.
And
Which,
that's
I mean, to each their own, but
I have no complaints about that.
Yeah, okay. So,
right.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for listening to me rant.
We spent an hour talking about the Defenders, and I could not say anything because I haven't seen Defenders.
Could have just bounced.
Take care, everyone.
Bye.